Hello everyone. Still just setting up here. Okay. Alright, I think this is good. Okay. Yes. So, let me see. I decided to go live again. One, because it makes me super nervous and super afraid. So, another reason is because I have something to share. And I didn't post my regular video today because I wanted to make sure that I go live and be authentic, at least from what I'm noticing in this raw vegan journey. And it's time sensitive, right? So what I want to talk about today is my period, and not just mine, but the experience that we can have as females when we're on our periods and we're actually either attempting to go raw or we have been raw for some time. So I guess I'll just start with my backstory of my period. I got my period, I think I was a preteen, so around 11 or 12 or so, when I first even learned about what a period was. I felt like my life was over, basically, when I asked my mom about it, and she told me what it was. And she said, well, how I interpreted it was like, you're just gonna have, this bleeding session once a month, like forever, right? That's how I heard it, basically. And then it comes with these feelings in your tummy, these cramps, and she didn't tell me that because I actually felt that, and so many other things. PMS, I learned that years later. Before then, I just thought I was going crazy, or whatever that meant back then. But so since then, it's been several decades, and I've been working on my regimen to kind of control mood swings and kind of control cramps and pains, because at first I didn't even know you can do that. I just thought you could just take painkillers and that was it. So fast forwarding on my journey, I used to take ibuprofen. That was my regimen. I kind of got that down pat. I would take ibuprofen maybe 2 weeks before, and supposedly that was supposed to lessen the pain. Then I would take calcium, magnesium, certain amount of grams of calcium and magnesium. And what else did I do? That was it, pretty much. I didn't know to do anything with diet or exercise or anything like that, or even meditation. So yeah, I was just pretty out there. I was always in pain. I was always either taken off from school or from work or any type of obligation that I had with anyone. I basically laid around a lot. I felt sorry for myself a lot. The PMS mood swings would make me feel depressed. I felt suicidal. So it was pretty dramatic, my backstory of my period experience. So I always knew that I wanted to change it. So when I went vegan, and this was around 2016, I hoped that it would improve. And over the years, it did improve. I'm sure I got a lot more nutrients or whatever that is. I also had a more positive outlook. But to be honest, that PMS, those swings, I never really found a way to handle that. I went through a lot of shame. I went through a lot of guilt because just wild emotions, basically. I felt out of control. But at least over the years, I felt like the best I could do is just see it coming. So I felt like the crazy woman's coming or whatever, or the demonic, takeover is coming over my mind. That's how I used to look at it. It was dreadful in every sense of the word, to feel like there's going to be this being that takes over your mental and your peace of mind, and it's going to make everything just look worse. So as you can see, I just felt like a victim, right? Even though I kept trying and I was looking for herbal remedies. I tried the chasteberry tea. I tried what I was later told by a doctor was a
menopause tea, 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗪, I tried that. I tried a lot of herbal things over the years. I'm not saying I won't try again, or not saying that I'm not open, because I am. But none of those things really helped me, at least with the pain. But going vegan, it lessened the pain, and that was really cool. Now, I want to say a caveat, because I actually used to have a mental where I hated periods, and I felt like I was born into a body that I do not belong in this body. I'm not talking about necessarily gender reassignment. I'm talking about this must be an accident. I don't want to go through this monthly pain. Again, very negative self-talk, because I felt the women around me just accepted this as a truth. And I beg to differ that I have to accept this type of monthly death sentence. What I felt like monthly death over and over again, this hell sentence. So I set out to, in my heart, even though I didn't know if it was possible, I set out in my heart to feel, you know what, I'm going to eliminate bleeding altogether. I'm going to eliminate period. At the time, I'm still not sure about PMS. You know, I think now it's called PMDD, I believe. But I still just was focused on the bleeding part, because the cramps and the downtime, and I'm a businesswoman, and I always wanted to be a businesswoman even when I wasn't. And I felt like this is so, it's like a freight train. It's like unreliable. It's just like you just moseying on, feeling like everything's going good in the day, and then it just comes, like blindsides you. You're a different type of person, you have lack of motivation, you know, all of this stuff in it. And it just felt like so hard for me to accept this part of myself, you know. So I wanted to eliminate the period. So then, by some chance, over my years being vegan, I would watch YouTube videos. I came across YouTube videos where some raw vegan, actually, influencers would be like, I lost my period. Now my eyes just like shot out of my skull. I was like, what? How the hell can you not have a period? Now, mind you, I had these feelings, these desires for years. Like, I don't think this is natural. I don't understand what this is doing. I didn't have a desire to have any kids. And even if I did, I just didn't understand why women have to bleed every month, especially when she's ovulating. But that's more knowledge that I learned later on. So then when I saw that, I started to dig, and I really had to dig. So I heard about the raw vegan food diet, and then I did for like articles, and I couldn't find anything except for medical professionals suggesting that something is wrong with you if you don't bleed every month, unless you're, you know, menopausal or you're not of the age to bear children, that something's actually wrong with you if you stop bleeding. I think they call it amenorrhea or something like that, or maybe an eating disorder, or maybe you work out too much. And supposedly that's the only reasons why you should miss a period, or something else like hugely detrimental is why you should not bleed once a month. And I'm glad that I stuck to my instincts. And this may not be for everybody. You may still be afraid. You may still be listening to outside voices that are socially acceptable that say, yes, it's okay to bleed. Yes, just take the pain, or just do whatever and go crazy every month, and that's your destiny. You may not want to hear this. But if you've always kind of felt like, I wish, or I feel like I should have control over my body, I should have the last say so if I'm to bleed or not, or if that's natural. If you have the audacity to even just dream it and not even just say it out loud, like, this is not normal. And I did. And now, like years later, I get the physical proof that, in fact, spoiler alert, you can actually still have kids as long as you're ovulating, and you do not have to bleed, nor do you have to suffer from PMDD, also known as PMS. You do not have to suffer. So I listen to a lot of these videos, and they're raw veganers, and they say, hey,
I went raw vegan and I hadn't had a period since whenever. And some were like for years. And some, it came back. But majority of the stories was like, they don't have a period. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what? Like, here it is, you know? So that piqued my interest. And I believe that is probably the main reason why I even looked into raw vegan. And then a lot of the influencers, as I discussed in another video, was more influential to what people look like and things like that. And they were looking fit and they were looking similar to a body type that I have naturally and then I want to get back to. And I thought, yeah, okay, raw vegan. So it's always been in my view, but then it's about how to get there. And that took several years. How to get there, how to stick to a raw vegan diet for any amount of months. Because a lot of the influencers suggested that it took them a few months actually to eliminate this period. So I'm thinking, damn, how am I going to go from soy, vegan, tofu, fried chicken, and steamed potatoes? That was my jam, you know, to steamed rice and gravies, although it was vegan, to raw fruits and vegetables. Like, my mind's just blown. Like, I don't even know how to go about that. But I kept listening to the content they posted, listened to the free content on YouTube, kept listening, and it didn't really work for several years. I would have those stints, and I mentioned that in another video of my raw vegan story, but I would have stints of going raw vegan, and then it wouldn't last. Or I would have a fast, and then it wouldn't last. All the while, I'm paying attention to the period and seeing how it's doing. Now, I did, through all of these stints, or all of these fasts or attempts, I did see my hormones start to kind of balance out. But it's hard to have a scale. But I did see my overall feeling improving, and it could all it could be also mental, that I was also starting to fight. I didn't feel such as a victim, like, oh, just throw up my hands, like, oh, here it comes again, you know what I mean? And then on top of that, I was learning things about painkillers. So it was like one door was closing and then this raw vegan door was opening. So the door that was closing was the painkillers. I had that regimen, and it was kind of reducing the cramps and other types of symptoms before my period actually came. But now I'm learning that when you take ibuprofen or acetaminophen, which is like a Tylenol or aspirin, anytime you take those things for a long period of time, which is what I was doing for years, a few times a month, but for years I'm taking it, that it can aid to leaky gut. Now, I don't want leaky gut. Sometimes I suspect perhaps I do have leaky gut by some symptoms that I have, as far as skin flares and things like that that show up during a fast. So I didn't want that, or I didn't want to exacerbate the problem. And I'm already cooled off on doctors as far as going to them for every little thing, right? Like I used to, because I just don't trust them. I don't trust their, I don't have faith in their prescribing and their drugs and just things like that, which I talked about in the video about not trusting the medical care industry, the sick care industry. So I'm on my own, you know, and I'm figuring this stuff out, you know, just with the help of my own experience and watching YouTube videos. And now I'm here. This year I'm here when I have a longer stint of time where I've actually eaten a raw vegan food diet. And even a shorter amount of time that I just let it be an 80-10 style diet, which is what I've heard years ago, that is usually the type of diet, not always though, interestingly enough, but it's usually the type of diet that makes the period have like a cessation period where it actually stops. Even if it comes back at a certain time, that it stops for a good amount of time. Now this is just like, at the time, the best I could hope for, but now I'm doing it, right? So I see the period improving, the pain is lessening as I'm doing the raw vegan diet for the past 3 months. 3 months past. I'm improving, I'm feeling great, I'm feeling energy, I'm feeling more energized, still feeling heavy, still going through some PMS weird things mentally, but I'm trucking along, right? Trucking along. So the next 3 or 4 months, however long it's been, I naturally migrate to an 80-10 style diet. So I have a lot less fat in my diet. And this past period, I just realized that it is like half the amount of blood that I usually have on a period. Now that kind of surprised me because I saw it was coming, and then you do the 1-day thing, and usually it's not a whole lot. You start getting accustomed to the feelings because the feelings kind of, and I think this is like this for most people, kind of hits like a little crescendo, like a day or two, as far as the feeling in your gut, and then the cramps, if you have any, or the uncomfortableness, and then it starts to decline like 2.5, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, whatever, and you just kind of bleed off. A lot of people 7 days, done. But I gave it the whole week, and I think by 2 days it was very, very less. Now I'm in my 40s, just being transparent with that, just in case you wonder if I'm premenopausal or postmenopausal or menopausal in general. I don't feel that I am because I look at the symptoms all the time of what people say, and I don't have those symptoms. I don't have any lessening, periods are regular. I did have one stint, and that was a year, with progesterone shots as far as a birth control, but before that I never took birth control. And actually, funny story, I actually took birth control a few years ago as a way to lessen period pain, period, the heaviness, and all of these things, but it did not work. And I did that for a year, and then I just dropped it, and I was just detoxing. Hopefully that all of these substances, whatever they are, these prescribed substances, just eliminate from my body. So I haven't had any problems with that since then. But yeah, this diet really blew me away, and this has been a long time coming, fighting even in my own psyche, believing that A, do I deserve it? B, is this crazy? And then C, do I deserve it? Yes, I deserve it. Because now I know that even if other people don't agree, optimal health is what you say it is. It's what's best for you. So if every other female in the world wants to bleed once a month, have cramps, or have weird type of mood swings where you either just want to beat someone down or have visions of killing someone, like if that's what they want to do, have at it. As far as me, I can't take it anymore. I don't prefer it. And yeah, I set my sights on not having a period. Just to be clear, not that I'm looking forward to menopause. I don't like that shit either, to be honest. That storyline about decline in bones, and no thank you, no ma'am. So I feel like I'm a master manifester, and I say that not just because I believe I am, because that is what I am putting forward so that I can be as well. So it's like a double thing, right? So I'm a master manifester, and I prefer a life where I do not have to bleed and go cycle every month. And now I feel like I'm finally manifesting that. So if it's anybody that's struggling right now with their period and they have no hope, they're given whatever type of strong prescription, these guys, these white coats, are just writing out, delving out, all willy-nilly these days, and that's not helping. Or have you even thought of surgery? Maybe to take out your uterus, or, I don't want to dip too much with fibroids, but I do believe that the raw vegan diet can help with growths as well. But I have proven, at least for myself, that at least it reduces blood loss extremely. And why I feel like I'm claiming victory already as if I have no period is because this last period, for several decades I've had my period, was the lowest cramp. Like I didn't even use a hot water bottle, which is what I use every single month for years, or a hot compress. I didn't use a hot compress once, nor did I feel like that anvil feeling at the bottom part of your uterus that just makes you not want to move out of a chair or a bed to go to work, school, or whatever the case is, or makes you feel not active, at least in the first few days of the period. That was totally gone. I was partially holding my breath, even though I was affirming. I do mental work, I do meditation work, and I'm always affirming optimal health and my personal vision of how I see that. But when it manifests, it's like I wasn't even focusing on it, but I really needed it because I really did not feel well in other areas. And it was such an easy period. So hopefully this talk encourages you to go raw vegan. And again, it was very low fat. And it's not because I punched it into Chronometer. I used to do Chronometer years ago. So I already know the foods that I eat, how much fat it is. That's what happens when you do Chronometer. So if you're a beginner, use Chronometer. It will seem tedious, but keep punching in those packages, whatever food you eat, it's your business. Just be honest and you'll get to have a record of it. You don't have to even pay for the app. You can use the free version, but each day you'll be able to go back and see, wow, that's how much fat I'm eating. That's how much protein or whatever the case is. So I specifically feel like it has to do with, believe it or not, just raw foods in general. I feel like even if I was probably eating 2 avocados a day or over 20% fat a day, now I don't know this is just my theory, feeling out how I've been eating, I feel like it probably would have just still be less pain overall. There's something about raw living foods, I don't know if it's the vitamins, it feels like my body is just being nourished. And I know a lot of people don't like to equate being clean with having no bleeding during their period or their ovulation period. And also, I don't know. It's being clean. I guess people think like, oh, am I dirty because I have a period? Yes and no. To say, if we're being honest, yes, because I do, at least for myself, let me just keep it here, right? If you see the value of the likeness, then you see for yourself, right? But it feels like there's a lot of junk happening, maybe from environmental, what do you call it, endohormones or exohormones, and there's things like in the air, and there's things, plastics, and there's just things happening, right? So I'm not saying like it's a personal attack on us while we're dirty or whatever the case is, but it seems like when it comes to this so-called monthly cleansing process, it does seem like it's a cleansing process. It's definitely a shedding process, says the doctors, right? Because your uterus is shedding its lining, and supposedly that's blood. But I've even found in an article that even if you want to have a child, you don't even need to bleed. All you need to do is ovulate. And if you're not sure if you're ovulating, it is like kind of a white discharge. It's a certain time a month, but you can kind of tell when you're ovulating. And maybe they have kits and apps and things, tests for things like that. But I know when I'm ovulating. I used to hear people say that. I'm like, what the heck? That doesn't even, because I never tried to have a child and did that type of mapping or anything like that. But there's ways. You can just Google it and see when you're ovulating, and you don't have to bleed. You don't have to bleed. That is wonderful. White pants and bathing suits for everyone, right? So I don't know. I'm already claiming this victory because I see the dramatic lessening of the blood loss, and I'm just super excited, and I just wanted to give it to you straight, give it to you first, and just let you know I'm super hyped. I had no cramps, and if you have no cramps and inflammation, just from changing your diet to raw fruits and vegetables, a little bit of nuts and seeds, under 10% macro of fats a day for a few months, including months behind that, just eating raw fruits and vegetables and any type of fats you like, avocados and everything, then you will be claiming this too. And you can see that it's possibly that we are just nourishing ourselves, and we are somehow feeding something
good in our bodies and reducing inflammation, that means something is kind of wrong. Like, why are we inflamed? Why is there pain? I always wondered that. It's like, why is there just like a monthly pain? You know what I mean? But again, I'm not here to convince anybody. I really don't care. If you want to bleed and be uncomfortable, everything like that, then go right ahead, right? It's your life. But again, this is just for the people that they want to do something radical, which a lot of times people tell you has never been done, but I'm sure there's lots of people some people that's even just living naturally without a period and never buy tampons, never buy these menstrual cups, and never even go that route, and they are just fine if they're not included in the period conversation in the bathroom. Like, they're just fine. So I guess the last thing I'll leave you with is the menstrual cup. That has been very helpful to me and my journey as well, because at a stage where I really was just too tired, you know, there's tired and then there's too tired. I was too tired of the whole menstruation thing, and then I learned about the menstrual cup. Major game changer. I think I need to do a separate video about that. And yeah, menstrual cups right there, right? And if you consider yourself vegan and you want to do things that's more sustainable, menstrual cups are very, very awesome. Lower waist, you get to see the blood. Now, they may not be something you want to do, but it is a step, at least I prefer it, in my journey to actually understand how much blood I'm losing. So then you can actually tell, like, wow, okay, this is actually lessening, right? So yeah, so this is the period conversation that I wanted to have, and I've always wanted to have, and it's an exciting one because I have good news. At least that's how I see it. And hopefully you got some value in this, and if you have, please share this video after I post it, and just let me know in the comments if this helped you, and what is your period journey, and what do you think is optimal health when it comes to period. Now, I'm not going to judge. Don't judge me, I won't judge you, but sound off. We can all help each other, right? So I love you guys. It's getting dark in here, as you can see, and I will come back to you with another video next week, and have a happy period, or lack thereof. Bye, guys.